started.
Filming.
Hi, my name is Shalina. I'm with Ypsi Hearts, which is a YouTube channel dedicated to amplifying and spotlighting really cool people doing really cool things in Ypsi and just also news and Ypsilanti in general. But today I happen to be in Ann Arbor. I'm at the historic United Bethlehem Church. We're in the basement at the headquarters of something called
Groundcover News.
Yes. And the reason why I wanted to come and visit them in their home is because if you live in Ypsi, you may have noticed like fun, colorful signs, kind of like this one behind me, that say Groundcover News. And you might wonder, what's Groundcover News? What's that about? And so now I'm here with Cynthia, who is the editor of Groundcover News, and Lindsey, who is the publisher and managing director. And they're going to tell us a little bit about Groundcover News and why you should support it.
Yeah. So Groundcover News is a community street paper. We're a nonprofit newspaper that has a dual mission of being an opportunity to work, a low barrier opportunity to work, and what we just say, a voice. Because we are a community newspaper that anyone can submit to, but we prioritize people with lived experience with homelessness and poverty in our publication.
Right. So how long has Groundcover News been selling in Ypsilanti? How long have they been in Ann Arbor? Like, what else should people know about your work?
Yeah, we were founded in 2010, and the way I kind of describe it is we've been selling over Washtenaw County since then. But because our office is based here and the fact that a lot of homelessness and human services or housing human services are based in Ann Arbor too, that's kind of shaped our distribution to be in that area. So primarily our vendors are selling here, but our content is covering the entire county. And certainly our vendor base and the community that we consider ourselves to be a part of is that entire county, and a lot of folks live in Ypsi and work in Ypsi. So we've just recently put a dedicated effort into really expanding out there, both with our content and our circulation, aka where vendors are selling, because we're a county paper, and a lot of the issues that we're dealing with as an organization, that our family is, our community is something that's happening on a county basis. So we had to have Ypsi in the fold.
Yay!
Yeah, and I think that sometimes Ypsi gets short shrift, what I would call short shrift. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, there's Ann Arbor, and then, oh, there's Ypsi, and we really do not want that. We're dedicated to not having it be that way. We love Ypsi, and actually, Lindsey now lives in Ypsi, and I rent a house that I in turn rent out to homeless people that's also in Ypsi. I think that Ypsi is a great community and just really ripe for a little bit more focus than we've been giving it, and that's not intentional. I mean, it's for the reasons that Lindsey said, but I think that changing that is high on our agenda.
Right. Well, and I want to talk more about the vendors. So you mentioned that most vendors have experienced some sort of like bout with homelessness or poverty, or they might even be homeless now. Mm-hmm. So can you tell me how many vendors you have, and typically how they come to work for Groundcover News, and how they are compensated for their work?
Yeah, definitely. So first question is, since the beginning of time, we've had 587 vendors with a new person who started today. However, about what we say is, or our measurement is like an active vendor, which is the amount of people who purchase each paper. So if a vendor comes through our door and purchases the most current paper, then we kind of count that to say, 35 people sold this paper for this issue. And generally that runs from, I would say, 29 to 45 over the year.
Active.
Yeah, of vendors, yeah. And that is due to seasonal things, like some people come to Ann Arbor or Washtenaw County for services during the winter, and the summer art fair, maybe we get more people who come just to sell the paper during art fair. So that kind of flex is consistent, but can be that big of a gap. And people find out about the paper in lots of different ways. We do recruiting, what we say, in different places where we think people would be really successful. So you might notice we have this little ad on the back of the paper, become a Groundcover News vendor. And so we have big versions of this that we put up in different agencies around the county, where if people go to get services there, they might be super, again, successful selling paper. But word of mouth is probably the best thing for us. A peer-to-peer referral is priceless, and we incentivize vendors to do that, because if you see your friend being successful selling the paper, you can see that material change in their life, you're more likely to give that a shot rather than just like someone that you don't know seeing and kind of maybe being unsure of what that is. And then lastly, how it works. So a vendor will show up. Well, we won't know them, or we will know them, and we hire them on the spot, and we do an orientation. These happen twice a week, and they are, on certain days and certain times. But if people come to that and finish it, they're hired. And it's just kind of like going over our rules and how it works, and then sales training so that they're successful. And we start them off with 10 free papers, but then after that, so your average vendor that you're interacting with has paid 50 cents for this paper. It's our bi-weekly edition, and they sell it for $2. So they front that 50 cents and they get this paper, and then when they sell that paper, they keep the money that they make. So it's not like they have to come back to Groundcover and chart it down and we take 50 cents from them. Like, they're investing in their work, and then they're getting the pay and their income from selling the paper. And that is a similar model for the $10 paper. It's just a higher profit margin because it's a harder product to sell because it's $10.
Right.
And it sells to them for $2.
Right. Yeah.
So it really is an entrepreneurial endeavor. Like, it's giving people the opportunity to work and make money, and you allow for when people are just starting, they get 10 free papers, so they get kind of a cache of papers to start with, and then after that, they have to front the money, invest in themselves and their work, and then go and sell it.
Yeah.
And then some vendors even write for you. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing that I think, many people don't realize. That's the other half of what we're doing is, just kind of, I always use the phrase of like destroying what it means to know something, but like, we're not like alternative media or alt news. Like, we think that the stuff that's in Groundcover is real news, and it's real information, and it's people's lived experiences that are valid and need to be shared in the community. So, we do have folks that start as vendors and end up like turning into reporters or researchers for some cases. But for the most part, people, they're passionate about something, and they're going to share that with the community, whether that's their lived experience or just their life experience and whatever, or they have thoughts on things, they're writing opinion pieces or fiction and all kinds of stuff. So, the voices in here are people that are usually selling it, but then we also open it up to everybody because we just don't have that outlet in our community, in print or in kind of that news format that can be distributed to lots of people outside of just social media stuff. So we see ourselves filling that gap of, if something is, that you want to change, that you can bring that to Groundcover and share that with your community without a filter or without, meddling of something else.
And the one thing I would like to say, Lindsey, how long have you been the publisher?
Since May of 2021.
So
about 2 years.
Not 2 years yet, yeah. I think that Lindsey has taken it in a great direction in terms of, I don't know how to characterize it, but I would say the realness of it. I mean, it seems to be, not that there was any, I'm not being critical of the way it was before, but it feels as if it's more immediate, I guess would be the way I would put it. The concerns are the same concerns that would be expressed right this minute, and not. Of course, there's a huge variety. I mean, we even publish poetry, but there does seem to be. I think it's encouraged.
Yeah, it's timely. And like you said, it's filling a need because we all know what has happened in the media landscape these past 20 years, and so many towns and cities all over across the country have lost their local newspaper. And these things are like, we have big conglomerates, and of course, nothing against MLive, but it's nice to have kind of local coverage of timely topics, and sometimes even topics that aren't necessarily controversial, but the mainstream media isn't really interested in covering. Exactly. And so, Ground News is kind of filling that niche. And I like that you mentioned about the reporters, because like we all know that homelessness can touch anybody, and that you can be highly educated, you can be well read, you can all sorts of things and be homeless. And some of the writers kind of showcase that, like, no, these are people who are very capable of like writing hard news, poetry, this, that, well read.
Right.
Know a lot about a lot of things, and just
Yeah, I would say on that topic, like I would say it's what I've noticed kind of within this role is that you have this instinct to like report on something with statistics so that people believe you that something is actually happening. But it's like if we just have someone say their experience with it, that one story can be the thing that actually showcases the entire problem. And even if it is that one person, it doesn't matter. It's happening to one person, or one person had that experience. Therefore, that's something that we should think is important and do something about, versus the kind of the expectation in journalism to like, oh, this needs to be a problem with half of the population, or like we need a statistic to support this and stuff. And we aren't, you know, we are following journalism rules and stuff, but we aren't limiting to this being true by needing to be a majority, or this needing to be supported by, you know, these other measurements that normally our news are held to.
Right. Like, it's enough that these people live in our community, they're involved in our community, and this is what's happening right now.
Right.
Yeah, this is what's going on. I don't think we mentioned that you are a nonprofit. You're a 501c3, and you have been since your inception.
Yep.
So what else would you want people, specifically in Ypsilanti, to know about Groundcover News, the importance of it, interacting with vendors?
Yeah, I mean, the opportunity to support, I'll use the term support, someone who is actually taking that initiative, and not, it's very active and not passive. And the opportunity to support that, I think, is a great opportunity for people. I mean, I think it's to be able to instead of saying, as we were talking earlier, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You know, I see you're pulling yourself up by your bootstraps here. You know, let me participate in that.
Right.
And it's you know, the vendors are all different. The way they approach it is different. It's a chance to get to know those vendors, and that happens a lot. Where, you know, they'll have regular customers, but even outside of that, supporting the people, you're also supporting. You know, it's not like you're putting your money towards something that's valueless. I mean, it has high value in and of itself.
Yeah, I'd add to that we have a huge team, but it's always changing. So the way I got involved was being a volunteer, and I've noticed that through my own experience as a volunteer and now as a staff person, that like whoever kind of walks through our door, no matter who you are, you can have a huge impact on what we're doing. And so I think as we shift, you know, our footprint, and not even shift it, but expand it, we have the invitation to customers to get involved and be volunteers, to write to the paper. And, you know, if you have an idea, oh, I really want this vendor to sell in front of my business, or like my neighborhood would love to just like get to know this person, you know, kind of the sky's the limit with things that we're wanting to do for marketing, for selling the paper, for content, for anything. Like, it's totally just a community project, and that's what the best ideas that we've had have come from people just passionate, wanting to go run with it. So if you have seen the signs or see the paper and you're like, this is missing, we really, really want you to let us know and to get involved with that.
And how will they let you know?
Yeah.
And get involved?
Yes,
what's the best
exactly.
way?
Well, so first of all, I wanted to talk a little bit about the signs. Those signs are created by a group of homeless individuals who, you know, have artistic talent, and so. One thing that we did, most unfortunately, you can't tell from this card, but the background of that is one of the production committee members, and I believe she's a board member as well, took a photo of one of the signs when she saw it, because she was just like, oh, that's my Groundcover News. And so we created this, it's a card that lets you know what to do if you want to write for Groundcover News. And if you have the thing already written, you can email it to submissions@groundcovernews.com. You can also pitch it to us, pitch an idea to us if you haven't written it yet. And that is a weird URL. It's
a QR code.
Yeah, it's linktr.ee/Groundcover News. Yeah, so it's Linktree, only with the dot in the weird place.
I'll put the link on the
Thank you.
yeah. We'll add all that information.
Click here.
Yes.
So those are two ways, and I presume that if you ever can get a hold of one of these cards, you can come into the office, obviously. which is at 423 North
South 4th Avenue.
4th Avenue, yeah.
But other than that, our contact info is, we have an evergreen page on page 2 that has kind of everything that you would need to know to get involved or to reach out to somebody.
Ah, the phone's ringing, which we shouldn't be surprised in what should be a busy newsroom, right?
Yeah, I'll go run and grab it. Oh, wait.
Oh.
Maybe not.
I'll take that. Well, thank you, Lindsey. So just to reiterate, Ypsi, you can support Groundcover News by buying the paper when you see a vendor selling it, volunteering, writing if you would like, submitting content ideas, and also if you're a local Ypsi business, then you may want to think about purchasing ads in Groundcover News. So thank you, and thanks for watching Ypsi Hearts. I hope you like and subscribe and do all of that jazz, and we'll have to visit with Groundcover News again.
Yeah, definitely. We'd love to have you. Yeah, and thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.